Hey fellas, welcome to Friendship Shaving. I'm going to be setting a bevel on one of my Gentleman's Companion straight razors today, so I've everything set up to do that. The stone that I use as a bevel setter is my Naniwa 1000 grit stone. There we are, there's a code number there. This is one of the stones that you need to soak, but I believe more modern stones you're able just to put them, splash and go I think they're called, you just put them on your holder, splash a drop of water on and you're ready to go. So I thought I'd just show you what I do. I've got some water on my stone and I'm just going to create a little bit of slurry. With my 1000 diamond plate. And I've got into the habit of doing this with this synthetic stone each time I use it, just to create a little bit of slurry, which makes things go, in my opinion, a little quicker and a little easier. And there we are, we're ready to go. I like to use half strokes to start with, and I like to do 40, 30, 20, 10. So done 10 on each side, so I'm going to do 30 now. And I'm going to be quiet while I'm doing this because I cannot count and talk at the same time. There we are, that's 40 on each side. I'm going to just add a drop of water. And you can use any stroke you like on here. You can do some circles if you like. I don't like doing circles because the scratch pattern on the blade is all over the place. I like a slight, maybe a 45-degree angle. Actually a bit less than that. I try and keep as much of the blade on the stone as possible. A lot of people use X strokes. And they're very good. I use those later. You can go, whatever you use is fine, but I'm certainly not in a position to be telling anybody how they should hone their razor. I've just found these half strokes, what I'm doing now, quite quick. They take away a bit of steel quite quickly. And I don't know if you can see, but I've already got some dark coloured swarf on the stone. And when I do some X strokes now, I'm really, if you watch the tip of the blade, I'm forming an X. And got a bit of, what do they call it, a bit of torque, but only very slightly. I just want to hold the front edge of the blade on the stone as I go through the stroke. So as I'm here, I want to hold that piece of the edge on the stone. But it takes a bit of practice, or excuse me, it took me a bit of practice to be able to do this with one hand. I find that just having a finger there, or the thumb coming back, adds a little bit of support. And one of the things that I struggled with was knowing how long to do this for. So I've got a jeweler's loop. If you have a microscope, it will do the same thing, but I've had a look through my jeweler's loop at the blade, and there are no big chips out of the edge or anything like that. So really I didn't have very much to worry about with this one. It was not so good on the heel, but certainly wasn't bad. The razor itself seems to sit very nicely on the stone. It doesn't lift off at the front or the heel, so there was nothing complicated for me to worry about. It was just a case of getting on with it. And I found that if I do the half strokes, the number that I said earlier, and I just sit and do this for a little while, that normally is all I need to do when I'm setting a bevel. This Naniwa stone is a very good stone. It's a synthetic stone, and the particles are the same size all the way through the stone. So as I'm taking particles off the top, they're being replaced with particles of the same size. And I took the advice from many other people online that have been doing this for many years, that 1,000 grit stone is a good grit to set a bevel. Anything lower than that just provides a rougher edge, in my opinion. I've not tried it, I've stuck with this 1,000 grit stone and it works very, very well for me. And what I've discovered lately is that if I go from this stone onto, I have a King 4,000 grit synthetic stone, another good quality stone. If I go from this stone to my 4,000 grit, and then I go to my Tam-o-Shanter natural stone and finish off on my water of air stone, I'm getting a really nicely honed razor, and all I then need to do is to strop the blade for literally just a few strokes on some chrome ox and then a good stropping on a clean strop, and I've got a great shaving edge. And there is a learning curve with this, guys, but it's not super difficult, you know. If I can learn to hone a razor, anyone can learn to hone a razor, is what I think. And I'm watching the liquid on the stone now, and it's coming up over the blade, so the blade is undercutting the water and the slurry that is sat on the stone. I'm not going quickly because obviously the quicker I go, the easier that water flows over. But I know now that the blade is in good contact with the stone, because not only am I pushing the water along the stone, the water is running up over the edge of the blade. And just going to wipe this a moment. I'm going to have a little test on this packing peanut, and I like this. Think this is a good test for me. Just very lightly, no pressure. Needs a bit more work at the front there. The middle and the back end of the blade, if you saw there, seems to be cutting very easily, but yeah, definitely needs a little more work on the toe end of the razor. So drop more water, and I'll just continue what I'm doing, guys. But I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on the front there. I don't think we're very far off at all. I do like that test for sharpness. I think it's very easy to do. People use tomatoes or grapes as a test, and the idea is that if you can break the skin on a tomato very lightly, you know, no pressure really, it's just the sort of forward motion of the blade that creates the cut, then it's a good indication that your razor is ready to go on to the next stage, or at least I have found it a good indication. There are other tests, the most obvious one being, will it shave hair from your arm? I find that to be not so good as an indication as using this packing peanut. And I have been experimenting with the thumbnail test. And the idea behind that is that if you hold your thumb at an angle like that and put the blade on at a slight angle and draw the blade across the thumb, it should stay where it is. If it bounces down the nail, then the edge is not ready. Now, guys that are really good at this can apparently tell when they do the thumbnail test if the blade has any chips in it, if the apex is of different thickness in different parts of the blade. I am not at that level yet, not anywhere near it. So for me, the packing peanut, idea is really superb. There is also a hanging hair test, and I have found that my razor blade never passes that test at this stage. It is only much later on, when I have refined the blade more, that I am able to pass the hanging hair test. And it all starts with the 1000 grit. A good start here, and not jumping too quickly onto the next stones in the progression. And sometimes it's only when I strop the blade that I manage to get a good result with that hanging hair test. The idea is that you run the razor through the hair on your arm, but not at the skin level, just halfway up the hair. And if you've got a really nice sharp blade, the hair will literally ping as the blade cuts it. It's quite an incredible thing. So, but as I said, I don't know if anyone else is able to get a good hanging hair test at this level, but I can't. I need to refine the blade further. I don't necessarily think one needs a loop, but these days they are inexpensive, and it is really useful to look at the edge that you're creating and see the scratch pattern that's left by the stone. And I like my scratches to be on a bit of a diagonal and to be all even and lined up. So when I go onto the 4000 grit stone, the idea is, with the smaller particles on the 4000 grit stone, I will erase the scratch pattern left by this 1000 grit Naniwa. And as I get onto my natural stone, my finishing stone, I'm similarly polishing out the scratch pattern left by the previous stone. I'm trying to turn the blade on the spine to be safe, but honestly guys, sometimes I do it the other way, but I always try and put the spine down first. I'll just add a drop of water, clean off this swarf, and then I'll just do a few more strokes with some clean water, and I think we'll be there. When I first started doing this, guys, this was a lot more difficult than it is now, because I was having to think about so many different things. But at this point, I find that really I'm just moving the blade up and down the stone, and I find it to be very calming, quite relaxing, if I've got something on my mind, you know, I can almost do this automatically. And it gives me time just to think about other things or just to think about nothing. It can be quite meditative, I guess. I've seen a real increase on YouTube of fellows using straight razors to shave with and creating excellent videos. And I'm rearranging my YouTube channel's homepage so that I can show some of the guys that I really like and some of their videos. So I'm in the process of doing that, guys. And I'm just going very, very lightly now. No pressure these last few strokes. I'll just test it, and I always like, once I've tested the blade, I always like to just do a few more. Here we are, look. Ooh. Yeah, got my finger. Oh, right on the toe there. So I'm just doing some extra half strokes just to really work on that. It was just right at the very end of the toe of the razor. Now I'm looking for, that's it, that'll do. And now I'll just clean this up, do 5 or 6 very light pressure, and I'm done. I did catch my finger slightly there, guys, holding the peanut or what's left of it and pushing through that way. Yeah. Stupid is as stupid does. So there we are, guys. What I'm going to do, as I said, is go to my 4000 grit stone, and then I'll come back and perhaps finish up using my finishing stone. I've got a combination stone. So one side is the tam o'shanter and the other side is the water of air. So you'll see another video just for that bit. Until then, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope this was interesting, if not useful to you. Bye-bye now.